Downton Abbey has always been filled with stories of love, duty, and sacrifice. But hidden deep within its grand walls is a secret that no one expected. A romance so unlikely, so forbidden, that it could change the future of the Abbey forever. The world of Downton Abbey is more than just a story about an aristocratic family. It is a window into a time of change, when traditions were beginning to clash with modern values. Behind the grand walls of the Abbey, life was carefully divided. Upstairs, the Crawley family lived with all the wealth, comfort, and responsibility of nobility. Downstairs, the servants worked tirelessly, each with their own struggles, ambitions, and silent dreams. And yet, despite the distance between them, these two worlds were always tied together. At the heart of Downton Abbey 3, this tension grows stronger. The echoes of war still hang in the air, and society is slowly reshaping itself. The rigid class system is beginning to loosen, but not enough to erase the lines completely. For every servant who dares to dream of more, there is still a reminder of their place. For every noble character who questions tradition, there is still the heavy weight of expectation. It is within this fragile balance that the secret romance begins to take shape. This is not just another love story. It is a tale that shocks both upstairs and downstairs because it does not follow the path people expect. It begins quietly, almost invisibly. A moment of kindness here, an unexpected glance there. In a house where appearances mean everything, love is not supposed to grow in silence. And yet it does. Like a flame hidden in the shadows, it burns quietly, waiting for the moment when it can no longer be ignored. The story sets the stage with whispers in the corridors, lingering eyes across a room, and hearts that want something they are not allowed to have. The Abbey has always held its share of secrets, but this one is different. This is the kind of secret that could shake the foundations of its traditions. Because if it comes to light, it won't just change the lives of two people. It could change Downton Abbey itself. It started with the smallest of moments, moments that almost felt too ordinary to notice. A polite thank you in a dim hallway. A smile offered when no one else was looking. A simple question of concern that carried more weight than it should have. At first it was nothing, or at least it seemed like nothing. In a house like Downton, where routine ruled every hour, these small gestures were easy to overlook. But sometimes, the smallest things are the ones that grow into something far greater. Their paths were not meant to cross in the way they did. One belonged to the grand world of family obligations, titles, and legacy. The other was tied to duty, long hours, and service in the shadows. Yet fate has a strange way of weaving lives together when no one is watching. A late-night errand, a misplaced letter, a quiet conversation by candlelight. Each encounter brought them closer. Each glance lingered just a second too long. As days turned into weeks, their connection deepened. Words became whispers, and whispers carried unspoken promises. They began to understand one another in ways others could not. For the family, love was often a matter of arrangement, a decision made for status and survival. But for these two, love was something pure, something dangerous, something alive. In the safety of hidden corridors and empty rooms, their hearts began to beat in rhythm with a secret they could not share. Yet even in the sweetness of their stolen moments, the risk never disappeared. Every step closer carried the weight of danger. A door opening too suddenly, footsteps echoing down the hall, a voice calling their names. It was always enough to send fear rushing through them. But that fear never stopped them. If anything, it made each meeting more powerful, more precious. It was love built in silence, held together by stolen time, and protected by shadows. Little by little, what began as an unspoken understanding grew into something undeniable. And though they tried to resist it, though they knew the world would not forgive them, the truth became clear. This was not just affection. This was not just companionship. This was love. The kind of love that could never survive in the open, but would not die in secret either. Love inside Downton Abbey was never simple, and this one was the most dangerous of all. For every stolen smile, there was the shadow of discovery. For every whispered word, there was the fear of scandal. Their romance was not just a matter of the heart. It was a gamble against the very rules that held the Abbey together. The walls of Downton were alive with eyes and ears. Servants passed through corridors carrying trays, letters, and secrets. Family members guarded their reputations as carefully as their fortunes. In such a place, a glance could mean suspicion, and a slip of the tongue could ruin lives. The two lovers carried their feelings like a hidden flame, desperate to keep it burning, but terrified it would be seen. The greatest challenge was not their feelings. It was the world around them. To the Crawleys, tradition was a lifeline. Marriages were not just about love, but about keeping bloodlines strong and alliances powerful. To the servants, loyalty was survival. A mistake could cost them their job, their home, their future. And in the middle of this stood the two hearts that dared to dream of something more. One night, their secret almost slipped. A letter, written with trembling hands, nearly fell into the wrong grasp. A door left half open revealed more than it should have. A voice, sharp and suspicious, asked a question that lingered in the air far too long. The lovers' hearts raced, knowing that one wrong step could unravel everything. But the hardest conflict of all was inside themselves. Was this love worth the risk of ruin? Was the sweetness of their hidden moments strong enough to fight the storm that would surely come if they were found out? They longed for honesty, for the chance to hold hands in daylight instead of darkness. Yet honesty in their world was dangerous. Every day became a test of silence, of restraint, of pretending that nothing was out of place. And still, behind closed doors, their hearts kept choosing each other. Because love, once it takes hold, does not bend to rules or traditions. It grows, even when it is forbidden. And at Downton Abbey, this forbidden love was now too strong to be ignored. Every secret at Downton Abbey lives on borrowed time, and theirs was no different. The longer their love grew, the more dangerous it became. What began as chance encounters now carried the weight of fate pressing down on them. They could not live forever in shadows. And one night, the secret nearly burned its way into the open. A letter, once hidden beneath a tray of silver, was found where it did not belong. Words of affection, too tender to be mistaken, passed into the wrong hands. Whispers began to drift through the halls, hushed voices carrying suspicion like smoke. The air inside the abbey grew heavier, as if the house itself was holding its breath. Every glance from the family felt sharper. Every conversation among the servants felt laced with questions. The walls that once sheltered their love now threatened to crush it. For the two lovers, the turning point was clear. They could not live half in light and half in darkness. A choice had to be made: protect their hearts or protect the abbey. To remain together meant defying not just rules but centuries of tradition. To let go meant breaking something more fragile than glass: the bond they had built in silence. The night they met in secret for what could be the last time, the air was colder than usual. Words came slowly, heavy with the weight of all that could not be spoken aloud. Their eyes said more than their voices ever could. A question of whether love could ever survive in a world that was never built for it. And yet, even in this moment of despair, the truth was undeniable. What they had found in each other was real, and no scandal or title could erase it. Perhaps their story would end in heartbreak, perhaps in sacrifice, or perhaps it would remain forever unspoken. But within the walls of Downton Abbey, their love had already left its mark. Because sometimes the greatest romances are not the ones written in history books or celebrated in grand weddings. Sometimes they are the ones that live in silence, carried only in memories, whispered in the corridors of places like Downton. And for this romance, this secret nobody expected, the echoes would never fade. Secrets do not vanish at Downton Abbey. They linger, like shadows across the stone walls, waiting to be remembered. And though this romance may never have been spoken of openly, it carved a mark on the Abbey that could never be erased. Some stories are written in ledgers and family records, celebrated in portraits and passed down as proud history. But this story lived between the lines, whispered only in glances and hidden in silence. Those who suspected never said the words aloud. Perhaps it was fear of scandal, or perhaps it was an unspoken understanding that love, even forbidden love, was too fragile to expose. In the grand dining halls, conversations carried on as always, crystal glasses raised, silver polished to perfection. But beneath that surface, a truth simmered quietly, a reminder that even the greatest houses cannot escape the power of the heart. Years may pass, generations may come and go, but the Abbey remembers. The rooms where stolen words were spoken still echo with them. The garden paths once walked in secrecy still carry the memory of footsteps. And in the stillness of night when the house sleeps, it is almost as if the walls themselves whisper the story of the lovers who dared to defy their world. Perhaps that is why this romance feels so unforgettable. It was not grand in the way of royal weddings or public declarations. It was something softer, something hidden, something painfully real. It was proof that even in the most rigid of places, love can bloom where it should not, and no rule, no title, no tradition can truly stop it. And so the secret romance of Downton Abbey remains one of its greatest untold stories. A story nobody expected, but one that changes how we see the Abbey forever. Because in the end, it reminds us of a truth as old as time. The heart does not ask for permission. It simply loves, and sometimes that love becomes the most dangerous secret of all. Every story leaves behind questions, but the secrets of Downton Abbey leave behind questions that may never be answered. Did their love survive in silence, hidden in stolen moments that no one ever uncovered? Or was it lost to the weight of tradition, broken by fear and buried beneath the Abbey's demand for order? The truth may be lost, yet the echoes remain, refusing to fade. What makes this romance so haunting is not only what happened, but what might have been. Imagine a world where they defied it all, where titles, duties, and reputations crumbled in the face of love. Would the Abbey have fallen into scandal? Would their families have turned against them? Or would history remember them differently, as the pair who dared to challenge the rules of their time? But perhaps the most unsettling thought is this: maybe the secret was never fully buried. Maybe diaries, letters, or forgotten stories still lie hidden in the Abbey's archives, waiting for discovery. Maybe there are family members who knew more than they admitted. And maybe, even now, the legacy of that forbidden love quietly shapes the choices of those who walk its halls. That is the power of Downton Abbey. Stories within stories. Some celebrated, others buried in shadows. And while the grand romances and tragedies may fill the stage, it is the untold ones, the hidden ones, that stay with us long after. Because in the end, it is not only about what we know, but about what we will never fully uncover. And so the question remains, what other secrets hide within the Abbey, waiting to be revealed? Perhaps this was only one of many. Perhaps the walls hold more than anyone dares to imagine. But one thing is certain: this romance, the one nobody expected, will never be forgotten. Downton Abbey has always been more than just a house. It is a stage where lives play out under the heavy gaze of history. Families rise, fortunes fall, and behind every carefully closed door, secrets linger. This romance, the one that no one expected, will never be found in the official records or carved into family crests. It does not sit proudly beside grand legacies. Instead, it lives in the silence, in the pauses between words, in the kind of love that defies being forgotten. Perhaps that is the true beauty of their story. It was not meant to last forever in the open air, but to exist quietly, like a song played softly in the background. A reminder that even in places ruled by duty, power, and order, the heart always finds its voice. And when it does, no rule, no tradition, can silence it completely. The Abbey still stands, its stone walls strong against time, its halls echoing with footsteps of those who came before. And if you listen closely, you might almost hear it: the soft whisper of two hearts that once dared to love in secret. Their story may be unfinished, but that is what makes it unforgettable. Because what lingers in mystery often becomes the most powerful memory of all. So, as the lights fade on this chapter of Downton Abbey, one truth remains: love, no matter how forbidden, has the power to leave a mark deeper than history itself. And this romance, hidden and fragile, has become a part of the Abbey's soul. The secret has been told, But the questions remain. What other stories lie in wait behind those walls? And which will rise to the surface next? Downton Abbey has many tales to tell. This was one of them, and perhaps the most unexpected of all.